Morning. I think we're live. Yes, we're live. Hey, everybody. I hope you're all so well and happy today. What an amazing day we had yesterday. I just went live just like this on StreamYard, streamed it into different places, different platforms, and we had 30 new people coming into our group. So that is so important, especially with what I'm going to share with you today. One of the secrets that I found in this book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, my mentor, Bob Proctor, check him out. There's a bobblehead Bob, bobblehead Bob I got at one of the consultant trainings. Um, Bob, I think it's about 100,000 a day to work with him, and I know that somebody flew him, flew his jet, paid for the fuel and all that, and flew him to I think it was the Middle East, and coached with him for a day, and then just more or less said to him, I'll pay you whatever. Tell me the secrets that you've learned in this book. And I heard Bob tell us this story in a little closed room, about 15 of us sitting around the table. It was an amazing training, and he said I wouldn't tell him, and he said he offered me 250,000. He said I wouldn't tell him. And Bob didn't really go into details, but he kind of said it wouldn't have worked for him, right? So I was like, really? Could you not have told him? And I'm actually going to tell you one today, but this might not work for you. Because through the power of repetition, when you read a book over and over again, and there's another one here I'm reading at the moment, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. There's a tiny little one here called It Works. I got it from my dear friend Danielle Amos. It's such a cool little book. But when you study and you read something over and over and over and over, you don't really, the words don't change, but you get these revelations, you get these kind of like aha moments, you hear people call them, right? That's why there is such a need for the industry that I'm in personal development, because there is a huge level of accountability that people just don't have. You just don't have accountability. You're not going to do a daily practice or a daily study. You're going to be just living with your present mindset and then hoping, wishing, and praying the results change. And they may do, but they generally don't. Change happens with personal growth as a choice. Anyway, when you're involved in a daily study, when you're involved with a group, and I'm so happy to see 30 people pop in yesterday because that group is growing. It's all like-minded people. I'm able to see all of the quality questions are in there, and everyone has the same goal. It's going to be a flipping awesome masterclass. It's going to be an amazing group next week. But just by doing these videos on YouTube and everything, like about 30 people a day are popping into that group. Now, why is that important? Well, like-minded people generates an energy between us, right? So when you have like-minded people in a seminar room in a hotel, there's a real good buzz. And what's happening is that there's three types of communication. There's the intellectual communication where I'm telling you facts and figures and stuff like that, and we learn in college and we learn in secondary school through the intellect, through the conscious mind, what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. That's why you'll hear people talking about news media and propaganda, because they'll keep repeating the same narrative over and over until everyone in the world believes well, that's just how it is. You have to have a smartphone. You have to be on Facebook. So people generally live life on the conscious mind. We communicate physically in our body language, in how we appear, how we communicate, whether we have a smiley face or whether we're really serious. So there's the intellect, there's the physical, but there's the non-physical communication, that non-verbal communication that comes through the subconscious, right? And the more you develop your subconscious, the more, like you've heard of female intuition. Well, everyone's got intuition, but it seems as though maybe that female energy seems to be like, I'm not really sure. Aren't they always right, lads? They're always right. But I've developed my own intuition as time has gone on. I'll know if somebody's really serious or if they're just kind of saying they are and they're not going to do it. I get intuition about clients and I'll reach out to them and they're like, that's crazy. How did you know? You can develop your intuition. Well, another higher faculty you can develop is your imagination. And Napoleon Hill dedicated a whole chapter in this book to imagination. Now, this took 25 years to write. I would say it was that big, and they whittled it down because every sentence, just like, it really gets you. And I think it's like, if you have, think of how sweet those concentrated, like you go to the bar and you get orange squash, those types of drinks. They're so condensed with sugar, they're sickeningly sweet. It's almost like all of that volume of knowledge that he got from all of these 500 or 600 interviews that he did in 25 years was condensed into this. Because when you read one line or 10 lines, you're like, oh, that's so good. Well, I kept reading and rereading because repetition is how you learned how to drive. Repetition is how you learned what your name was. Repetition is how you learned how to write. Repetition. You couldn't cook at all when you were a kid, and then you just learned. Oh, hang on. What am I doing here? Stop being silly, Billy. Yeah, you just learned how to communicate. You just learned how to write. You just learned how to do lots of things. Well, your imagination is something that you have, but a lot of people unlearn how to use it. They train away their imagination. And I hear a lot of people always saying, I don't have a good imagination. I'm not able to visualize, and so on and so forth. So I really don't like writing in books too much. But one of the lines that I underlined here is it says, this statement is, where is the line here? It says, this statement is significant. And I've underlined that because it was one of those moments, I think it was back in 2016 when I underlined that. I've been reading it for 3 years and it just hit me. It's like, oh, it really hit me. And the secret that I'm going to share with you, because that's been my experience, it may not be yours, but my experience was that when I read in the chapter on imagination, if you have this copy, it's page 115. Napoleon Hill is talking about the two forms of imagination, the synthetic and the creative. So I see Barry is there. Hi, Barry. Thank you for what you've written. I'm going to read it in a moment. If Barry and I were stranded on a desert island, he would have gained, and I am presuming it's Barry, he, and if not, please forgive me, I can't see. It's Barrie, so it's different spelling that I'm used to. So if it's a man or woman, I apologize. Hello, how are you? Welcome. But if we got stranded on a desert island together and we needed food and water and we needed shelter, we would use our synthetic imagination. We would use kind of what we've learned up until this point of our life. But if we're really in a pickle, we would use our creative imagination. We'd start thinking, okay, how are we going to get out of this, Barry? Or if we're in a situation, how can we get into that? So that's what people do. It's how we've got the iPhone. It's how we got flights, aviation, anything that anyone comes up with. They're generally using their creative imagination. So when he talks here in the section of this chapter about creative imagination, it just really hit me. It hit me hard because I realized what I'd been doing without knowing what I'd been doing all of these years. He says, the creative imagination works automatically. Do you hear that? That's the non-physical communication that works automatically. The subconscious works automatically. We can program it to work for us automatically. And that's what 97, 98% of people are not doing. Okay? So how are you? Good. So I'm going to read some stuff. Lovely to see you here, Barry. Okay. The creative imagination works automatically in the manner described in the subsequent pages, right? The faculty functions only when the conscious mind is vibrating at an exceedingly rapid rate. So when you're stimulated by a rock concert or a really good movie or a really good book, your creative imagination, what you hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, is really stimulated on a high vibration. The imagination gets all pumped up then, and then you start saying, you know, I'd love to go to places like this more often. I can do this. And you'll always hear that at seminars. That's why people love doing, you know, weekend retreats. Your creative imagination is stimulated by the conscious mind seeing and being around these things and feeling what it's like. That fires up our subconscious mind, right? So he goes on to say, when the conscious mind is stimulated through the emotion of a strong desire. So I help people really in our company, in the C&D Academy and in the Vibe Tribe and all that. We help people make these big changes in their lives. There's these great success stories because we help them to connect to a very strong desire. Like I personally made a massive change in my life out of desperation. I don't want anyone to do that. I want you to be coming to this from a place of inspiration. Like, so next week in the masterclass, come with an idea. It's like, I really want something, okay? So anyway, let's continue on. This is the line I've underlined. He says, the creative faculty becomes more alert, more receptive to vibrations from all of the sources mentioned before, in proportion to its development through use. And that was me, like, that to me is one of the secrets in this book, that your creative faculties work better, more frequently, with greater vigor, with greater power, the more you use them. So I can, and I am going to do this in County Kerry. I'm going to get 100 people in a room. I'm going to hire the room. I'm going to put some of our clients on each table. They've already agreed to this. And we are going to try and get County Kerry, where I live, like really just absolutely back. I think we're officially heading into recession. I'm going to say, pardon if there's any kids around, feck recessions. Businesses are born and they grow in recessions, and businesses are fail and they die in booms. Don't listen to any of that crap in the radio that, oh, we're in recession. Anyone can make anything happen anytime. Okay, don't let that stuff that's going to be coming out in the media knock you off your course. Okay, you're a creative human being. You can do absolutely anything. And yes, maybe there's certain restrictions around how to obtain finance or all that stuff, but there's always opportunities as well. Okay, so just make a decision that you're not going to be the victim of any kind of recession. That this is the time that's going to define your life and maybe generational change for everyone that comes after you. That's all you got to do is make that decision. Don't think about the how. But let me continue on. If I was in that room of 100 people and anyone stands up and they say this is what they want to do, but they can't, I've developed the creative faculty through study every single day for the last number of years, always having a goal that kind of scares me and excites me at the same time, always communicating with like-minded people and just being around negative people, but just kind of going, yeah, that's okay. I don't have to get sucked into that energy. Just I have my tribe, I have my people around me that just bring me to the next level all the time. So the creative imagination, it's like at the moment I've just done 4 personal training sessions out of an 8-week program, and I can already feel my muscles are getting stronger. I can feel stronger. I can feel fitter. The muscle of the creative imagination is also a muscle that you can develop, and the more I develop it, anyone can stand up and say what they're going to do, and as they're saying it, I already have an answer. Even my vision board here, it actually fell off the wall the other day. I was like, is that symbolic? But on it, it says that I channel answers live on screen or live from the stage in seminars. That's what I put down in January 2020. And I did, like when people would stand up and say what they wanted to do, I would always have a good answer, and the crowd would go like, oh yeah. Now, where does the answers come from? The same place that anything comes from, the same place that the person who decided to make this pen. Ideas come from wherever they are right now. And you are an idea generator. So you basically, just like a butterfly net, you grab ideas out of the sky, you take them in, you make them yours. And when you make them yours and you go after it like a dog with a bone, next thing, you get that action reaction. So all of a sudden, as if by magic, somebody shows up who knows how you can make the product somewhere in China and get them shipped here. And somebody else shows up who wants to support you and fund you. Somebody else, like when we sit here and we sit at home and we kind of, we're like, I wonder, I can't, yeah, sure, that's not me. I can't do that. Let's pick up my phone and scroll through it. That's going to be your truth. But when you make a decision, you know what? I don't need the money. I don't need the how. I'm just going after it. What you start to do is you get that strong desire that stimulates the creative imagination. It stimulates those higher faculties that separates the human being away from the animal kingdom. And that's where people like text me, email me every single week, Declan, you're not going to believe this. Well, I am, because I've been seeing this year on year on year, week on week on week. People attract things. You've heard the law of attraction. It is such a secondary law, it's not even funny. The law of vibration is the primary law. It's the primary source of luck, of synchronicity. It is pretty much scientific at this point, guys. There's people, peers of Bob's like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and other people. They're actually showing scientifically wiring people up and keeping them in seminar rooms for a week and getting them to think and dream about what they want, and just they actually can see the physical brain mass change. So this is not woo, this is not silly billy stuff. This really, really works. And I've enough stories and testimonials over the years of people that I only helped. I didn't do anything to make their success happen, but what I did was created a community. I keep creating communities where people they don't feel like they're on their own. They don't feel like they're a dreamer, which is apparently a bad thing. They feel like, you know what, I'm destined for something different. I can do this. And the more you're around those kind of people, the more you're around this type of information, and the more you're around people who've gone before you, not people who are going to go ahead of you and say, come on, this is how it's done. Not people who are behind you going, come on, do it. People who walk beside you and encourage you and allow you to bring in those ideas and make them yours and help you to believe and help you to have faith. So that's really what this masterclass next week is going to be like. It's going to be a group of people, like-minded people. I'm actually thinking, like, maybe I didn't put the link in the chat, but I can just go and do it in all the different platforms, or just, Declan J. O'Donoghue on Facebook. You'll find me. It's a masterclass from the 14th to the 18th next week, and it's going up like 30 or 40 people a day. So I think we're going to have about 500 people in the group. Probably have about 250 or 300 people live every day. The energy is going to be off the charts, and we're not going to be just saying, yeah, I've read this book. We're going to be putting it in practice. Here's the workbook. Here's what you're going to be looking through next week. That is going to be sent to you by your own personal success advisor, your own personal customer service person. So I'm going to be talking you through every section. You're going to be making this book finally work for you next week. If you think of someone you would also like to study with, bring them along. Say, I'm doing this course next week. Let's do it together, because you need people around you. I moved from Galway on the west of Ireland down here to County Kerry back in 2013. And all my friends were here. Absolutely, I love them to bits, grew up with them. But also I developed a kind of a community of people who were into personal development, and I was leaving them behind, and I was like, who could I meet? And you just automatically meet them. That first weekend I met two lads, and we started a personal development group called Positive in Facebook. It was one of my first ever Facebook groups, actually. And we would just literally put in positive stuff, pick each other up, keep promoting one another, keep it positive all the time. And that's going to be, that group was always something I look forward to seeing what someone put in, because you'd be like, oh, that's awesome, well done, great win. And I see both these guys, just their lives are great. Like they're married now, and I'm sure there's kids are ready to follow. And like that's really what happens. You get yourself around like-minded people, study great material, and just commit to doing something. Like when your pen touches those sheets next week, you are going to start buzzing. You're going to start saying that this is an idea that I can actually do. This is a real live living thing. And you will see, we're going to have some big wins during the week. People will pop in and go, oh my God, I just did this. And oh my God, I just did that. And this amazing thing just happened. It starts happening live within that week as well. So if you're not already registered, register. If I haven't put the links, silly me, if I haven't put it in the comment section of this post, just go into Facebook, type in The Secret to Think and Grow Rich, and you'll see it's a private group. You have to apply to join. There's 3 qualifying questions. Just put them in there, and then one of my team will be in contact with you to send you your workbook, and just to make sure that you're okay throughout that week. Okay. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. I took in one breath like 16 minutes ago, and I'm still going. I could do this forever. This one book, and also this program, Thinking into Results program that I study with Bob. Like, I just can't imagine like what they've done for me and my family, and for the future of all of my kids, and hopefully their kids as well. Is just, it's the stuff that I heard and I thought, that's a load of bull crap. That's all silly rubbish on YouTube. And then I started thinking, yeah, Andrew Carnegie at Carnegie Hall and Carnegie Libraries in Ireland and Carnegie schools. I'm like, yeah, he was a pretty big dude. Okay, that's a real person. All right, I can relate a little bit more, and I can relate a little bit more. And then I just started believing and trusting, and sure enough, keeping it to myself. Hearing people going, that's sort of crap, and then I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep it to myself. But they're the same people now who are like, huh, and you're telling me that works, Declan? And they're like, yeah. I was like, evidently it does. Look at what's happened, and that's the way it goes. And real County Kerry testimonials, and eventually it just starts to build up, and they're like, that's mad. I didn't believe that would work at all. But the thing is, it's working all the time. Whether we're making it work for us or against us is the difference. And that's it. I'm very proud that we've created something that helps people to make it work for them all the time. So I just want to give a shout out here to Barry. Thank you for your comments, and my apologies. You are a gentleman, so I wasn't sure with the spelling. Good to see you here. Somebody else over on Facebook says, loving this, and they said being creative can be turned on. It's a new concept to me. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Everyone is creative. Like whoever that person that commented there, I just said Facebook user, and I wouldn't mind, but I'm paying like the top rate, so I don't know why it doesn't give me your name, but it is what it is. Yeah, thanks for your comment. Like you are already creative, because you don't just go and get a white iPhone or a black iPhone. You kind of know what you want. That's the same thing. You'll set out to make lasagna. You're thinking of the lasagna. You're thinking in pictures, and they come to pass. As James Allen said in this gorgeous little book here, As a Man Thinketh, he said, we think in pictures and it comes to pass. Environment is just our looking glass, and that's what's true. The environment around us is just a reflection of the thoughts, feelings, and actions we've had in the past. The environment around you is nothing, only feedback. The environment you want to create is all there. You just get it in here long enough. But we don't get taught that, guys. I was 35 before I started studying this. I'm going to be 40 in a few weeks' time. And I'm only scratching the surface, but I know that what I've pictured, including this house I live in, what I pictured it in here, and I started believing it in here, and there's a brain and heart coherence that nothing can stand in the way of, absolutely nothing. The minute you get your brain and your heart together and you're deciding on something, it's almost like someone putting a magnet into a little box of nail filings. They turn around so fast and they stick to the magnet. When you start vibrating in this way, without doubt, fear, and worry, with no proof that it's going to work, you just go, this is what's happening, and I am going to do it, and that is it. Stuff is already starting to turn in your way. Stuff is already starting to come. People are getting hunches that they'd like something that you're going to provide, and then you create the business, and they're like, that's gas, because I was just looking for something like that. One of my dear friends in Melbourne, a girl called Susanna, couldn't stop thinking about me 2 days ago, and yesterday morning, I was like, I'm going to reach out to Susanna. And I reached out to her. She was like, Declan, you won't believe it. I was walking around yesterday, and she's in Melbourne. I think they've got a very limited amount of time they're allowed out. And she was walking, and she said, you just kept popping into my head. Why is that, guys? Like, why is that? Why was I thinking about her? Why was she thinking about me? Are we supposed to talk so that I get some inspiration, so that I go online and say something and that lights somebody else up? Like I said to Krista, when we got together, my business partner, whose dream are we part of? And she was like, oh, that's good. And it's true. Like when people come along and they get their goals and they get their results, we had a lady last night, Megan, she might type in here and say, yes, I listened to all 20 minutes. Megan said to me last night in a group call with, we have a Tuesday night call called the Hot Seat Coaching. So if you have a question, you're going to be on the hot seat in front of all of our other clients. And Megan just said, look, I've already hit my goal. And she's been with us now since last November, but she hit her goal probably in July or August. And, you know, it's a place, there was always a place, like where she wanted to get to was always there. And she kind of says, you know, I always knew I'd do this. So I'm only an actor in a movie. I was only vibrated into her life to serve her in this period. And now she's a different woman and she can do whatever she wants. But that's all I am to her and to those people that seem to vibrate into my life. It's just, I'm there to help you in that point to transition to become that person you always knew you were. And then after that, you're like, but that wasn't actually all that hard. It was just a bit of a rewiring of what's going on in here. And of course, the mind isn't just in the head, it's in all of the body. So we teach them how to feel the fear, do it anyway. We teach them how to ignore the present circumstances and say, that's not going to get me to where I want to go. I got to have a good attitude. We teach about self-image, that you've got to be the person that you are on the inside and the outside as well. Otherwise, you've got that duality where it's like, you know, pretending you're happy and inside you're not happy. The not happy is what you're going to get the results with. The fake outside isn't really going to do it for you. So anyway, look, guys, I could talk about this for weeks and months. Let's see you all next week in the masterclass. Comment here in this, wherever you're seeing this, Facebook or YouTube or wherever I'm streaming at the moment. If you don't have a link, or if you can't find it, please just comment and I'll get that over to you. And yeah, you share this on as well if you want, if you got some value from this today. So somebody said, love your energy and enthusiasm, Beck, and looking forward to next week's masterclass. Thanks, Mom. You're always great to jump in and pretend to be somebody else and say something nice about me. Like, I can't see who this is, so I am really grateful. And if I called you my mom and that feels a bit weird, you know what? That's exactly who I am. Warts and all, a bit of a mess there. So yeah, thanks for your lovely comment. And if you think you're excited, I'm flipping really excited. I want to do an hour a day. I don't know how I'm going to get said what I have to get said in an hour each day. It's going to be quite a challenge, but we're going to get some homework for you. It's going to be absolutely amazing group. Okay, lots of love. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing, and I'll see you tomorrow.